Yeah. I've got 600 hours in the 500 series, but I don't have any time flying an S2. And the S2 is a bit of a strange one. So it's the only one that I don't feel comfortably speaking intelligently about the systems, because I don't know.
So what
S2.
what is, to me, looking at it, and I've probably seen more citations up close inside than the average person that doesn't fly them. To me it looks almost identical to the Bravo, to the 5. Like on the inside, like when I load up in here, I go, holy crap, I've been in this plane.
So I lost you.
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I didn't hear what the rest of your question was.
Oh, I just said, like, to me, like from my time in the Bravo and the 5 and poking around those planes, when I load up inside this plane, I immediately am like, holy crap, I'm in it. Like this is it. This is the plane.
Right.
So what are the main differences that a plane like this could even have?
So there are three types of 500 series citation. There's the 1 family, the 2 family, and the 5 family, right? They all have different wings and different cabins. So the 1 family has the real short wing and the short cabin. The 2 has the intermediate cabin and the intermediate wing. And the big thing about the 2 is the wing is completely straight. And then the 5 has the long cabin with a straight wing, but the inner third of it is canted out a little bit. So you can see kind of the cant out on this one. And that's because the S2 was a 2 cabin with a 5 wing.
Okay.
So it was kind of a weird mismatch with that. It's also got the 5 engines on it, which is even stranger.
So it's a 2 cabin, which is a smaller cabin.
Yep, it's the mid-size cabin with the big wing on it,
and the big
with
engine.
the canted out, and the 5 engines. Yeah. So, but they're derated 5 engines. They're not the full power 5 engines.
Okay.
So you also have the 5 gear, which is a little bit different than the 2. The 5 gear sits out a little bit further, so it's a little bit more stable in crosswinds.
Yeah.
And what else? What else is different on it? It's got the 5 avionics. But the big thing on this that is different than any of the other 500 series citations is it's actually a TKS wing. It's a weeping leading edge. This paint is done to look like a 5 wing, but the actual S2 is a weeping leading edge.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, this does have the purposefully painted on there.
Yeah. Yeah, so the
this,
actual one is... Yeah.
Did they model that?
They did, yeah. It's got wing anti-ice on there. Surface all. Yeah.
But it's not going to say what type it is. Like this button is the same.
No, that's accurate to the S2. Okay. The 5 or the 2 would have a little bit different setup on the panel down there.
Okay.
But that is accurate to the S2.
Okay.
Although the fact that it has a high-low setting for the engines is not, I don't think. That might be an S2ism as well, but in the 5 and the 2, it's just on-off for the engine needs.
Is there any indication in the cockpit here where the TKS fluid is at?
I don't think so.
You just kind of have to make sure it's topped off and know that you got X number of whatever hours with it.
That's my guess. Yeah, like I said, I've never flown an S2, so I don't know for sure. But
is that how usual any TKS that? I mean, I guess
I've never flown a TKS airplane.
No. Okay.
No. Remember, I completely skipped turboprops. I went straight to jets. And most jets don't have stupid anti-ice systems like this.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got the faster, bigger wing. You got the faster, bigger engines, although they're derated. Is that just you can actually see the holes maybe, or is that just?
Yeah, no, you can see the holes there.
Yeah, they're trying to get it in there. So was that just hey, we've got the factory had that system laying around, or because it wouldn't make sense to have that on a jet typically, right?
No, there aren't very many jets with TKS. This one, I think the Hawkers all have TKS. I think that's it. I think it's just the S2 and the Hawkers that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
All the other 500 series Citations, with the exception of the Encore, are all boots on the leading edge. The Encore is actually an Excel wing, which is a hot wing.
Okay.
But yeah, all the other ones are boots. So the S2 is the only one that's a TKS airplane. And the S2, because of that, has a much higher incidence of corrosion in the airframe or in the wing, as opposed to all the other 500 series.
And is that because of the TKS fluid is
Yeah, the TKS leaks.
And it is corrosive?
Oh yeah, very.
Fantastic. That makes even more sense. Oh my God. Is there, can some fluid get into those holes if they're, not covered or not
Yeah,
on?
TKS is by and large a terrible system.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a anti-ice only system. It's not a de-ice system. So if you fly into icing and you don't have the TKS already on, you can't use it because you're going to be throwing alcohol at ice that's already built.
Right.
So you can't use it except as an anti-ice system.
Yeah.
It's expensive. It has to be refilled. It's corrosive. It leaks. Yeah,
so when you say
nothing
systems,
good about TKS.
like when you say, I've never flown one of these, I have no idea how it works, the systems are all different. To you, that means all the stuff that you're talking about, I'm thinking of it like really narrowly, as in the layout of the friggin' buttons.
Mm-hmm.
So the layout of the cockpit, like where things are, that's going to be pretty much unchanged to a large degree. Like it's
in this case, yeah.
Yeah, like in this case, it's got the buttons are roughly in the same place and roughly do the same thing. But what you're talking about are things like, okay, the gear are wider set or further forward. So, it's going to behave a little bit differently. It's got TKS instead of, electric or boots. It's got a, different kind of engine. So the thrust and the takeoff numbers and performance are going to be slightly different as a result. Right. So if you fly a 5 and you're used to this wing with the uprated engines and a larger cabin, that's going to have the performance numbers are going to be different than the shorter cabin, but the same wing, but the same engine with lower thrust. So everything in terms of the calculations and how you actually fly it are different, but
right.
Turning the plane on and where the lights are and the flows, those are all largely the same.
Yeah, if you were to put somebody in the right seat who has time in an S2 and knows what they're doing, and put me in the left seat, we could operate that airplane safely.
Yeah.
But if you give me the keys to an S2 right now, I'm going to be like, hey, I got to look at the systems before I go fly this thing.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you for a fact that if I take any 500 series Citation and I'm over the runway at 105 knots, either on takeoff or landing, I'm safe. That's a magic number for 500 series Citations. 105, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether this airplane will perform more like a 2 or more like a 5. Because it's got the 5 wing, which means the slower speeds will apply, but it's got the 2 or similar 2 power level with the engines, even though they're 5 engines, but they're derated to like 2 levels of power. So I don't know, what the climb performance looks like or anything like that. And the climb profile is a Citation 2 climb profile.
Runway 10 right, 28 left.
Make sure you're logged off of my edge. Okay. So I don't know. I don't know enough about the intricacies of the actual airplane itself to talk about kind of how it would perform.
Yeah, to your level, like to an ATP rated, commercial level of understanding and safety, for somebody that's a sim pilot that really only needs to know how to turn it on and what speed it will stop flying.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in that, right? And how you approach
absolutely. You have to understand too that I'm speaking from a position of flying Citations for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And I am trained on's not a good word, but I am certified to fly 28 different models of Citation. They're all a little bit different, but there are certain things in all the Citations that are the same. And certain things that you can make a broad, sweeping gesture across all the Citations and be pretty accurate with saying something, right? The S2 is one of those planes that prevents me from saying all Citations are this, because the S2 is a total outlier.
Yeah. It even sounds like, just the naming convention sounds like, here's 0.5,
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
oh, yeah. I mean, this plane was designed to be the intermediate. Well, that's not a good way to put it. This plane was basically a proof of concept for the 5. Because the 5 didn't come out until 1989, and the 2 came out in 81 or 82, something like that. The S550 was somewhere in between the two, I think.
okay.
I'm furiously Googling. Stand by.
Wikipedia.
Let's see. S2 first flew in 1984. So, it came between the 2 and the 5.
And it's different than cars. What's up, Greg? Thank you for joining. It's different than cars where, they're developing a new model and, you not necessarily clean sheet, but you kind of know what you're doing ahead of time and build components to that spec. It seems like with a lot of these aircraft manufacturers, because everything is so expensive to develop from scratch, that they use a lot of leftover parts from planes that maybe they have too many of, or they were planning on building more 5s than they actually did, so they have a bunch of 5 engines that they can derate and shove on something different, or the gear. Hey, we've got all these wings. What do we do with these wings?
Right. Well, the interesting thing is that this airplane came before the 5. The 5 hadn't even been. Yeah. The 5 hadn't even been thought up yet.
Yeah.
Really. So the 5 kind of was born off of the things that worked on this airplane.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so like the derated engines, like they probably like bought the engines, like, hey, let's get this thing derated and get some hours on it to see what happens, how it performs, and then we can kind of, once we've validated its performance, derated, let's put it on a bigger plane.
Basically what happened is Cessna built the S2, right? And they're like, okay, so here's the supercritical wing. And here's the wider gear, so it handles crosswinds better. But people are still complaining that the thing is slow as hell, and it doesn't climb fast enough to get out of its own way. So how do we fix that? Well, let's put a newer version of the engine on it that's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Right? So they put the new engine on it that's a little bit bigger, and it became the Citation 5. They stretched the cabin to give you another couple inches of legroom in the back. It actually seats the same number of people in the cabin. It's just a little bit more roomy in a 5 as opposed to a 2. But yeah, they stretched the cabin, and then they upped the gross weight because they upped the power, right? So what happened was they had this airplane with a higher power capability, but with higher weights. So if you're flying it at the same S2 weights, it performs a lot better. But if you're flying it at the max weight for the 5, it performs much like an S2. So they're like, well, this kind of sucks. So they developed the Ultra, which is brand new avionics, same cabin, same weights, same wing, but with bigger engines. So the Ultra became what they had originally envisioned the 5 as being.
Okay. Got it. What a
or
mess.
That's the theory, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then people started complaining that, hey, gee, maybe we should have bleed air wings, and they're like, we didn't think about that, and then the Encore came to be,
Yeah.
So, and the Encore stole the gear from the CJ series, which had been developed at the same time.
And those are the trailing link ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the CJs are trailing link gear. All of the 500 series, with the exception of the Encore and the Encore Plus, are straight leg oleo struts.
Yeah, and they're a little bit, the trailing link are a little bit more bouncy.
Other way around. The straight legs tend to be a little bit more bouncy, and they land really, really, really firm.
Yeah.
The gear structure, the actual, if you look at the strut and the tire and the actual structure of the gear leg itself, has not changed from the Citation 1 all the way up to the Citation Ultra. They just kept increasing the pressure and increasing the size of the oleo strap.
Yeah.
So the 1 actually lands really nice on that gear. The Ultra lands like you've been shot down. You know?
Yeah. It's really fun. It lands like you've been shot down.
Yeah. The Ultra does not land nice. You know, the 5 I've gotten pretty good at landing it smoothly and comfortably. The 1's easy. The 1 you can land however you want. It lands real smooth. But the 5 is finicky, and the Ultra is nearly impossible.
Oh, I hit the reversers too fast, huh?
Yeah, you got him while the nose was still in the air.
That nose sits so low, you know.
Well, the airplane sits so low.
Yeah. That was pretty good, though. I mean, there was definitely a significant little float, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was well done. The TRs really don't do much in this airplane on a dry runway. They make lots of noise, they shake the shit out of the tail, but that's about it.
And yeah, do you usually pop them and leave them in idle, don't you?
No, I go full bore on them on the 5 and the Bravo, just because you're not going to have them at full power enough to shake the tail enough to be uncomfortable. But in the Excel, I leave them at idle.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember you saying that on the Excel. You just pop them.
Yeah, and that's because of the way the tail shakes with the Excel's TRs.
Yeah. When you had me hit the go around, the Togo, what was that? What did that do?
No. Togo's a sandwich. So the Togo button brings the flight director up to 10 degrees nose up, and it rides or it levels the wings.
But on the ground, like when you're on the ground?
Yeah, it just moves the flight director. That's all the Togo button does.
Oh, okay.
It just moves the flight director.
And just kind of resets everything?
Uh-huh.
So those are the kind of little like tricks that if you're not flying this thing every day, or like let alone type rated, you know, getting everything kind of reset. Like, okay, well, you put it into whatever I had done, you know, put it into heading mode instead of nav. You know,
you hit the speed mode.
Oh, the speed mode. That's what it was.
So when you hit the speed mode, it brought the flight director down so that it could think it can accelerate, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Because the airplane doesn't know it's on the ground. It just knows that you're not at the speed that you want it to be at.
Right.
So it's like, well, how do I speed up? I push the nose down. Well, in this case, I push the nose all the way down to the horizon.
Yeah. Right. Okay, and then so you were resetting that by saying, okay, click the Toga button. That's going to reset all of your...
It brings the flight director back up to 10 degrees, and then you can select your lateral mode because that won't change the vertical.
Okay.
So the reason that you have the Toga button set, and it goes up to that specific value, is because if you have an engine failure on takeoff, pitching to that flight director should, emphasis on should, give you V2, which is your safe climb speed.
So you hit that button, and then you have to, obviously, because there's no FADEC in this, right? So you have to manually whatever.
You cut out again.
Oh, sorry. Like there's no FADEC, right? Because in a plane with automatic throttles, you hit that button and you don't touch anything, and it sorts it out.
Right. So yeah, an airplane with auto thrust capability, if you hit the Toga button, usually it commands max thrust as well.
Yeah. So in this one, you're hitting
with
that
the auto
button.
throttle arm.
You're hitting that button basically setting the flight director to the correct pitch, you still have to add the power.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
all the toga button does, well, it does three things in the 500 series. So when you hit the toga button in the 500 series, it goes into roll mode with a 0 degree roll. It pitches up to 10 degrees, and it sequences to the next, not to the next fix, but if you're on a suspended approach, it will basically sequence the FMS into the missed approach. So that doesn't mean anything to you because you don't know how FMSs work right now.
Right.
But it will sequence you into the mist, basically.
Okay.
On some of them, it also disarms the altitude pre-select.
Got it.
So, and you can see what it does in the 175 for flight. It's a little bit different. His is a lot smarter. So, remember, this is a dumb jet.
That's okay. It's got a dumb pilot, so that works fine. Yeah, I mean, there was like a slight deviation, maybe. That wouldn't have, right? I mean,
No, it would have been a deviation for sure.
It would have been.
Yeah, 1,000 feet high at an altitude. Oh yeah.
Well, a little baby one. It was a little baby deviation.
It's all right.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was definitely behind at that point. That's all good. When you're told, I mean, there was obviously only 1,000 feet to go, but when you're told, at or below, 1,000 feet down in 22 miles, which is what it was when we looked at it, you could set it before then, couldn't you?
Well, as soon as you get the clearance, you can go down to 12.
Yeah, so I could have just gone down to 12 even though we were 22 miles out.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you cross that fix. When you have the clearance, as long as you cross the fix, then you're fine.
Yeah, okay. I'll probably do that. Once you're cleared, just go down instead of trying to time it.
Yep. That's what people do in a lot of the older jets.
The ones that don't have VNAV capabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just get it out of the way so you don't have to remember it. It wasn't built.
Yep, pretty much.
All right. How busy is it? Are you gonna do your own flying?
Nah, I'm hungry. I'm going to lunch.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I'm going to acquire lunch in some fashion.
Yeah, no kidding. God, Seattle is just packed too. Yeah, I'm gonna take a little break too. Just quick restroom break. Oh, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 planes at Portland. I wonder if it would be more fun to go not back to Seattle.
Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Hang on. Go somewhere else.
Let's go somewhere else. Although it'd be kind of fun. Let's go. We'll go back up.
Go.
We'll get our passengers all loaded up here in Portland, and I will be solo back to Boeing. That's pretty terrifying.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do for.
What would you,
for food.
from like a I mean, the IFR stuff is what it is. I mean, approach plates. I mean, I was able to identify, the key things.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything from that flight that you could just like, hey, make sure you do these couple things on the way back?
If you could find another hand somewhere, that would be really helpful.
That would be really helpful. That does get messy.
The Citation, when you're given a whole bunch of different stuff all at once, it's a 3-handed airplane.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But yeah, no, it's all about getting the airplane moving in the right direction and then fine-tuning things. That's the trick to single pilot in this airplane.
Yeah. So even if you're told turn right heading blah blah blah, maintain, like you got 3 things to do, if you just like spin the heading to the right roughly the same amount, get the altitude bug down, pull the speed back, and then go back and make sure you check the right, you've got the exact heading.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
then go fine tune it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome, dude. Well, Brad, thank you.
My pleasure.
I'm gonna cut that out, and I'm gonna make that like its own little video. I think you explaining that, because it's super interesting.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
Brad's internet infamy grows.
I'm gonna have like a little animated talking Brad head in the upper corner. Little South Park animation.
Yep.
All right, man. We'll get some lunch.
Right.
We'll be
Thanks.
here. Hopefully, we don't have super delays going back into Boeing, but I think it looks like it's dying down a little bit.
Excellent. Well, Godspeed to you, and don't crater it.
Yeah, we'll not. We'll try not to.
Don't do anything I wouldn't tell you to do. All right, have fun.
All right, thanks, dude.
Bye.
See ya.